This episode we're heading back to the world of Beast Wars for a look at the story behind the leaders of the evil Predacons. These are the basics on the Tripredacus Council. The toys that would become the Tripredacus Council were released in 1997, in the second year of the Beast Wars toy line. Sold together in a box set, the group consisted of Cicadacon, a relentlessly cruel and cunning cicada, Ramhorn, a single-mindedly obstinate Japanese rhinoceros beetle, and C-Clamp, a stoic lobster with brutally powerful claws. Together, the three could combine to form the giant robot Tripredacus, a lethal Predacon battlemaster who served as counterpart to the concurrently released heroic Maximal combiner Magnaboss. The year after their toy's release, these three robots were incorporated into the Beast Wars cartoon, which chose to depict them as the ruling body of the Predacon faction itself, a trio of generals together known as the Tripredacus Council. Now, they only appeared in a single scene in the episode The Agenda, Part 1, but they proved to be influential figures whose shadow loomed over the storyline of the whole series. The cartoon was set centuries in the future, long after the end of the Autobot-Decepticon War, at a time when the Autobots' descendants, the Maximals, ruled Cybertron. Outwardly, the Decepticons' descendants, the Predacons, coexisted peacefully with the Maximals, but the Tripredacus Council were secretly playing the long game, biding their time, planning for the day when they would rise up and take Cybertron for themselves. However, a rogue Predacon named Megatron didn't agree with their tactics, and set out with his own plan to travel back in time and alter history in the Predacons' favour. Recognizing the threat Megatron posed to their carefully laid schemes, the Council placed a mole within his ranks, the wicked Tarantulas, but lost contact with him when Megatron's crew disappeared through time. Eventually though, Megatron's actions in the past sent a quantum shockwave rippling across time, and when the Council detected it, they quickly dispatched their covert agent Ravage to track the wave back to its source, in hopes he could eliminate Megatron to keep the whole affair hidden from the Maximals. Now, the Council's animated designs didn't actually look anything like the toys. The cartoon didn't have the budget to create 3 brand new CGI character models for one short scene, so they wound up being rendered only with simple models, built from reused parts, and the limitations of the animation were covered up by setting the scene in a dark room where the generals were lit only by red lights. The effect really amplified the Council's shadowy, mysterious nature, and they would only grow more enigmatic when, later in the series, it was revealed that, unlike the other Predacons, they weren't descended from the Decepticons, but came from unknown origins. The Tripredacus toys were handled very differently in Japan. There, they were recolored and reimagined as entirely new characters, 3 Maximal brothers named the Jointrons. These bots were excitable, upbeat mariachis who lived their lives like a big non-stop party, always breaking out into song and dance, randomly throwing Spanish words into their sentences, and never taking anything seriously. Cicadacon became DJ, the eldest brother, who liked to make music by clashing his wing swords together, and tended to wet himself when he drank too much oil. Ramhorn became middle brother Motor Arm, a super strong sumo wrestler who could melt anything with his superheated horn. C-Clamp became Gimlet, the youngest sibling and the best dancer, who loved rattling his lobster claws like maracas, while their combined robot form was renamed Tripredacus. The Jointrons featured in multiple episodes of the Japanese original cartoon Beast Wars 2nd, annoying both Maximals and Predacons alike with their zany antics. It was a lot more screen time than the Tripredacus console got, and it extended to further appearances for the trio in tie-in media and additional merchandise like model kits and PVC figurines. In the years since the end of Beast Wars, the Tripredacus console has reappeared in several pieces of spin-off media, including comic books, prose stories, and the Earth Wars mobile game. Most often, they're featured in the same capacity as they were on screen, showing up only briefly, secretly employing agents to act in their interests while they scheme in the shadows. But on rare occasions, they have been shown taking a more active hand, merging into Tripredacus to deal with threats to their rule personally. A few stories have even hinted at possible answers to the mystery of their origins. Some have suggested that they were descended from the breakaway second generation of Decepticons, seen in 1993's Generation 2 comic book, an idea originally thought up by Beast Wars cartoon writer Larry DiTillio. But others have implied that they were the spawn of the dark god, Unicron. The Jointrons have also enjoyed further appearances of their own. Motor Arm and Gimlet's toys were reissued in the 2007 Japanese Beast Wars Telemoka line, which for some reason rebranded Gimlet as a Predacon. And Gimlet would even get a small recurring role in IDW Publishing's comic books, which reimagined him as a bot from a Cybertronian colony on the planet Eucharis. Sadly, his story here was much less light-hearted than Beast Wars 2nd, and ended in tragedy when he accidentally killed a human, and was killed in return by the vengeful berserker Dinobot, Slug. In 2016, the first new toys of the Tripredacus console in nearly 20 years were released exclusively at official convention BotCon. Based on their shadowy red-lit look from the Beast Wars cartoon, the figures were all retools of toys from the Combiner Wars line, and represented the generals in their original Cybertronian vehicle modes, before they took on beast forms. Cicadacon was a jet fighter, Ramhorn was a drill tank, and C-Clamp was a spacecraft. They came in a box set with their agents, Tarantulas and Ravage, with whom they could combine to form a prototypical version of Tripredacus named simply Predacus. C-Clamp formed the torso, while the others formed the limbs, each able to become either an arm or a leg, all totally interchangeable, able even to be mixed and matched with other Combiner Wars toys. The toys earned the console a leading role in the convention's exclusive comic book, a prequel story that told the tale of how they came to power. It took its own unique approach to the mystery of the generals' origins, presenting them as ancient robots who belonged to the very first generation of Cybertronians, predating the Autobots and Decepticons, whose goal was to return the Transformers to being one pure, united race. To that end, by the final days of the Great War, they had infiltrated the Decepticon army and risen to leadership positions, so they could sabotage the faction from within, arranging for its defeat and surrender, ushering in the post-war peace that would serve as cover for their long-term plans. They were also depicted as the creators of the liquid metal protoform technology that led to the evolution of the Autobots and Decepticons into the Maximals and Predacons, which they developed with the intention of eventually using it to revert all Transformers into blank slates, so they could start the entire race over from the beginning. Now, it's fair to say that there was a lot in this story that didn't really fit the spirit of the Beast Wars cartoon, but it's just one possible tale of the console's past. Just one of many different accounts of a triumvirate of mysterious villains who have lived their whole lives in the shadows, always concealing their true history and motives, never forgetting the past, and always plotting for the future. And those are the basics on the Tripredacus console. What's your preferred origin for these triple-dealing do-badders? Seek console in the comments. As always, if you've enjoyed this look at Transformers history and lore, subscribe and check out my archive for lots more. Plus, get early ad-free access to new episodes by signing up to Patreon.